Hi. The first time I had to do an evaluation, I was intimidated. To stand in judgment of someone who presumably has been speaking longer than I have, that was a daunting prospect. And I didn't know if I could do it. So I read through all the manuals and I went out to the Toastmasters website and I read through that. And I got through the first few evaluations just fine. Main thing they said to do was to fill out the back of the CC manual, and that's true. That's a very important thing to do, probably the most important thing to do. But it felt like to me that I could do more than just the minimum. That felt like the minimum to me. So I did a little digging, and I came across this technique that has proven to be very effective for me to get me through an evaluation, and I hope it does some good for the speakers whom I'm evaluating. So this is how I do an evaluation. First off, I take a blank sheet of paper and I draw a line down the middle, and over here I write what I liked, and over here I write what can be improved. Now those titles are very important to me because what I liked is a very affirmative, uplifting thing, and the alternative to that, what I didn't like, that's very depressive. We want this to be an affirmative experience, and that just seems to be a negative connotation. So this title, I very much like it. What can be improved, what I liked, and what can be improved. And so it gets me into the right mindset. Now, as the speaker speaks, I begin to take notes. I make note of anything that is just above average. So I'll have a lot of notes as they go through their speech. Oh, I like that, I like that. I especially like that. I might underline it, just make notes. And anything that may stand to be improved, I make some notes over there as well. And by the time their speech is done, I should have a pretty full page of notes. Then they're done with their speech, and I have my list of notes. Now, probably during table topics, sometimes I have enough time between speakers, but I'll definitely have time during table topics. During table topics, I'll go through my notes here, and I might, like that one above all else, I'll put a star by it. And then, now because I'm going to be presenting for 2 or 3 minutes myself, I'm going to need things to say. So I'll write 1, 2, 3 next to 3 things that I especially liked about their speech. I liked a lot about their speech, but these are 4 things that were the 4 top things that I liked about their speech. Now over here, I'll go through what could be improved upon, and I'll circle the one thing I want to mention. I don't want to go on and on about things that could be improved upon because, again, that's not a positive experience. So I just limit it to one thing that can be improved upon. Then it comes around to me, and it's time for me to do my verbal evaluation, and I have the outline of a script to follow. I start with the start item. You know, you had a complicated topic and you used approachable language for it. Then I move over here to the circled item. I noticed that when you were looking at your notes, you kind of hunt through your notes to remember where you were, find your place on the notes, and that interrupted your pacing. Now, time permitting, and I usually do, I then go here to number 1, just so happens to be pacing. So it really interrupted your pacing, but your pacing was very good, blah, blah, blah. And then again, time permitting 2 and 3. If I feel like I'm going long, I'll start omitting, starting with 3, then 2, but that's rare. And through this technique, I have an evaluation to give, a verbal evaluation, and I will speak for 2 or 3 minutes. Now, when I actually give the evaluation, what I say, I follow 2 rules. The first rule is a rule I picked up when studying interpersonal communications, and that is use I words, not you words. You should, you oughta, you need to. That kind of feels like somebody's poking their finger in your chest. And that's a very off-putting, or it can be a very off-putting experience. It gets people on the defensive and they can shut down. Instead, use I phrases. I feel, I've found, I believe. And those are still statements of fact, but they're internalized and they're not as threatening or could be perceived as threatening. The other thing that I do is I avoid adjectives. Now this is the one thing that I make the mistake of doing frequently, and that is I will use adjectives. Your speech was great. Well, what does that mean? Your speech was great. It means nothing. I liked your speech. That's a statement of fact. It's still not entirely informative. You need to stick to facts. Your pacing was good. You were animated when you spoke. Those are facts, and I need to keep telling myself to stick to the facts and not just use adjectives to describe my feelings about the speech. Well, there you have it. That's how I do an evaluation. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you may have even taken one or two things out of it. Thanks for your time.